Okay, welcome back, everybody. Nice to see that they've replaced the water and coffee with wine and beer. Sets the tone for the evening. Hope everybody has a drink and everybody have a fun time. We start with an award ceremony tonight, which is always the nice, good way to end a meeting and move on to the social events. We're up here to welcome you to the first in-person Mountain Protection Award ceremony in 3 years. Tonight we will do a number of things. We will have the legacy, talk about last year's project. We'll have a local spotlight. We will recap this year's nominations, and then we will make presentations to the runner-up and the best new initiative. We will highlight the Bally Peak Outlook Foundation project. And finally, the big reveal, the winner, the overall winner for this year. So that's the program for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour. I'd like to invite Peter Muir up to come up and speak about the Mountain Protection Awards, please.
Thank you, Grant. Good evening. Nice to see you all again. The UIAA has been showcasing excellent initiatives through the Mountain Protection Award since 2013. It's a flagship project of the Mountain Protection Commission, awarding projects that are improving mountain lives and protecting the mountain environment. And to be perfectly honest, this is one of my favorite parts of these weekends, and I'll tell you why. This afternoon, we're talking about climate change, and it's a pretty imposing project. But these people who've applied for the award and have won the award, etc., are taking little concrete steps to get us somewhere better. And for me, that's so inspiring as to be the best part of what people can do, to be honest. So through the last years, they've awarded Mountain Wilderness France in 2016, Mount Everest Biogas Project 2017, Community Action Nepal in 2018, the Swiss Alpine Club in 2019, and Foundation Gran Paradiso from Italy in the 2020-2021 edition. I'm not going to tell you why they were combined, you know yourself. So what do the UIAA members receive from this? Well, we received recognition and acknowledgement for implementing mountain protection values through action. It provides a platform enabling people to raise funds to build key infrastructures, conduct vital research, and fulfill pending project goals. And it's an international showcase and communication platform. You'll have a slide saying all this. Yes, you do. We've received excellent project applications this year, many coming from our many federations. In fact, 6 out of the 16 nominees came from federations. Thank you to Bally Peak Outlook Foundation for partnership from 2020 through this year's edition. I look forward to the evening and hearing from last year's winner, Foundation Gran Paradiso, then the Alpine Club of Canada State of the Mountains report, and the runner-up, the best new initiative, and finally revealing this year's winner. Enjoy the proceedings.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, we're going to run a video here, and we're going to look back at last year's winner, which is the Giroparchi Nature Trail by the Foundation Gran Paradiso from Italy. And we'll have a look at what they've achieved and what they were able to accomplish by winning the award in 1920-21. If you could please start the video.
Thanks to UIAA Mountain Protection Award that as Fondation Gran Paradiso we won last year for our project the Giroparchi Nature Trail, we organized this year a special edition and 3 weeks of trail for 3 different groups of teenagers. The 10th edition of Giroparchi Nature Trail has been held here in Val Savaranche, in the heart of Gran Paradiso National Park.
What an amazing experience to work with the kids. It's always so exciting and they help to know how it's important my job, and it's nice to continue to work with them.
It was an absolute privilege to be able to work and to teach English in such a beautiful environment, surrounded by these wonderful mountains, and also to work with Davide and learn about how important it is to protect the environment, to protect the flora and the fauna.
It's always nice to spend having a good time in the mountains, especially here in the heart of like Gran Paradiso National Park in Val Savaranche. We are surrounded by amazing mountains like Gran Paradiso, and like watching the kids learning always new things, and like it's nice to see how they learn to be part of the national park, not just as a tourist, but they really become part of like an ecosystem. They learn how to live in this amazing valley. It's really nice.
To celebrate the 100th anniversary of Gran Paradiso National Park, the trekking has been dedicated to the conservation of the Alpine ibex, that is the symbol of Gran Paradiso, but also of the whole Alps. The ibex survived in these mountains and was reintroduced from Slovenia to France, thanks to the park.
Very funny.
It's very good.
It's very good, the trekking.
Giroparchi boys and girls could share this knowledge, could dive into the natural world and exchange this fantastic mountain experience, enhancing stewardship and sustainable values. Thanks to UIAA for your great support.
Fantastic. Love seeing those projects when they get kids outdoors, even though they have a strange taste of music, although maybe that was just the video. Okay, next I'd like to invite up Mary Sanseverino. Mary is the member of the UIAA Mountain Protection Commission, and she's the chair of the Mountain Protection Award Working Group.
Thank you, Grant. And hello, everyone. And how wonderful it is to be gathered with you all in beautiful Banff, Alberta, Canada. And a warm hello and welcome to those folks joining in remotely, especially those who served on the Mountain Protection Award Project Evaluation Team. I know there's a few of you out there. And to all of our colleagues on the UIAA Mountain Protection Commission, as that commission is the home of the Mountain Protection Award. Now, as you've heard or may know, the 2022 MPA saw 16 projects submitted from 15 countries on 4 continents. Determining which of these projects should take home the MPA prizes was no easy task. The evaluation team, the Mountain Protection Commission, and the UIAA support staff worked long and hard to assess the information submitted by all of the nominees. The projects were outstanding. I can tell you, we were spoiled for choice. But we all buckled down and worked hard to honor the trust given to us by both UIAA members and the MPA sponsor, Bally Peak Outlook Foundation. And while mountain protection was the key theme behind all the projects, the way the protection theme was expressed varied from project to project. For example, several of the projects focused on waste and litter issues, all the way from full national initiatives in Switzerland and Italy, regional, fully integrated plans in Central Karakoram National Park, and targeted efforts for specific areas in Romania's Lake Belus region. And technology featured too. So from projects in the Himalaya, one in the Annapurna region, the other in the Khumbu, there the focus was turning plastic waste into much needed insulation. And from the more app-centric, from Ireland, recreational resource and development and management application. Environmental monitoring played a lead role in a few projects as well. For example, water monitoring in Chile's Maipo Basin, and surveying antelope and their mountain environment in Iran's Shaho Mountains. Now, the evaluation team is really pleased to note that sustainability and climate change, mitigation, adaptation, and/or education are components in one way or another in all of the projects submitted. But it takes a major role in projects from Croatia, where the Croatian Mountaineering Association offers specific mountain guardian courses. From Turkey, where the Nokta Mountaineering Club is embedding education on climate change and sustainable mountaineering in all of its offerings, to Catalonia's Centre Excursionista focused mountain culture activities, and sustainable tourism courses from Nepal Foundation for Ski and Snowboarding. But instead of listening to me babble on, we thought that you would enjoy gaining deeper insights into one of the standout projects, one that is deeply integrated into the operation of a national federation, one that features the mountains that surround us here, and one that you all have seen an example of, the Alpine Club of Canada's State of the Mountains report. So, to give us a look behind the scenes, let me welcome to the stage one of the report's editors. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Lael Parot, Vice President in charge of Access and Environment for the Alpine Club of Canada. Come on down, Lael.
Thank you, Mary. Now there should be slides. But I'll start with expressing my gratitude to the Stoney Nakoda First Nation and the other nations of Treaty 7 for hosting us here. And also my acknowledgement that the mountaineering community interacts with mountains in a very different way from Canada's Indigenous communities. And I think we need to be very attuned to that and aware of it. And it's deeply embedded in our questions about protection of the mountain environments. So if you could go back to my very first slide, please. There you go. Thank you. No, well, back. There we go. Thank you. This Alpine Club of Canada State of the Mountains report is a volunteer effort, or largely volunteer effort, produced by the club, but with volunteer writers. And it's an incredible effort by people who write for us and share their knowledge and experience of the mountains. And the editors are myself and friends and colleagues David Hick and Zach Robinson. And I'd like to acknowledge all of them and their efforts in creating the report. Next slide, please. The report is deeply embedded in the operations of the Alpine Club of Canada and aligns with our 1906 Constitution, which embeds our club and states our club's objectives as protection of mountain environments and dissemination of knowledge about mountain science. And that's been a focus of our club for the last over 100 years. Our club's founder, Elizabeth Parker, next slide please, was a strong advocate for mountain protection, and she had a vision of this place here as being free from roads and cars and electricity. Imagine what it would have been like if her vision had been achieved. Next slide, please. I think today, if Elizabeth Parker were alive to see what's happened to the mountains across Canada and across the world, she would be deeply saddened. Our mountains are at the forefront of both the climate change crisis and the biodiversity crisis. The alpine environment is an incredibly fragile environment, and the species that live there are living in very narrow bands of temperature and climate regimes, and they are very specialized and adapted to those special environments. They don't have much room to maneuver. And we're seeing the impacts already on those species and on those ecosystems. I don't know how many of you saw the Living Planet report that was in the news just a few weeks ago, but it has the sobering fact that 70%, well, 69% on average, of the abundance of all monitored wildlife populations has declined in 50 years. That's 70% of all the other animals, vertebrates. They're gone. Imagine if our human population had declined by 70% in 50 years. So keeping that all in mind, our members are experiencing this. You and I are all seeing this as we travel through the mountains and desiring, our members were asking us to take a more environment focus for the club. And so in 2018, we started a new initiative, which is the State of the Mountains report. Next slide, please. And it is an annually published report that we've now published for 5 years in a row. We reach out to experts across the country who are doing research in mountain environments or actively guiding or working in mountain environments and ask them to share their knowledge and expertise in 800-word essays that are available to the public. And everybody always steps up and says yes. They volunteer to write us an article because they care and because they want their knowledge to be shared more broadly to the Canadian public. The report has been picked up by national and international media and shared widely. It is freely and publicly available because it is our desire to make that information as available as possible to all Canadians and to everyone around the world. And as you'll see on the covers, I think every cover has a climate change feature to it. The first one is a river in the Yukon that now runs dry because of glacial recession. This next one, massive forest fires as a result of climate change and human transformation of the forest in Western Canada. The third one, massive slides that are rising as permafrost and the very ice that holds our mountains together is melting. And the last one, the COVID pandemic, which caused incredible disruption to all of our mountain communities and tourism and everything related to mountain culture and what we do in the mountains. And in this year's edition, you have the Abbott Pass Hut that we've talked about over the course of this meeting, which is another calamity of climate change. And it wasn't our intention to feature climate change in these reports, and yet it keeps coming out loud and clear. And so next slide, please. I think the overlying message that we're seeing, which is true for Canada and for every mountain area in the world, is that there is no mountain that is isolated from the impacts that we humans are imposing on this earth. Our highest mountains to the valley bottoms are all seeing change. And with that, I'm going to share a short video that was produced to highlight the State of the Mountains report. And thank you all for your own personal commitment to mountain protections.
Glaciers in Canada's mountains are melting 4 times faster now than they have been in the past. And at this rate, over 80% of them will disappear by the end of the century. You don't need to live in the mountains to be affected by mountains. Glaciers and snow in mountains feeds the big mountain rivers that flow into the surrounding lowlands, into the Pacific Ocean, across the prairies and into northern Canada. The Fraser River, one of the major spawning rivers for sockeye salmon, is now above 18 degrees Celsius. Species that are adapted to the cold don't do so well when things warm up. Pikas, little rock rabbits, they love it when there's snow on the ground. But if it starts to rain, they can't go out and forage. their condition changes, sometimes you see them locally go extinct. Forest fires, wildfire in the mountains have been increasing in recent years. In 2018, there were over 556 wildfires burning in British Columbia at the same time. This affects communities, people who live in mountains, the wildlife, and the smoke and the air quality declining across most of the province.
The Alpine Club of Canada is our country's national mountaineering organization. We have 15,000 members across the country, and those members engage in mountaineering and outdoor activities, whether it's staying in huts or it's going climbing or skiing, section camps, or whether it's attending our national general mountaineering camp that occurs every summer and has so since 1906. Part of our mandate has been the promotion of mountain science and mountain sustainability. We have had a very long history of volunteerism and stewardship and conservation. In 2017, our member survey asked us to step up. We felt that it was important to do so, not just for our predecessors, but also for future generations as well.
Our goal is protection of mountain environments by disseminating information about change that's occurring in the mountains that's affecting biodiversity and people and communities who live in the mountains. I imagine that most of you are here in this room for the same reason I am, and it's that we love mountains.
And it's only really in the last perhaps 30 years there's been a real focus on the role that mountains played.
The report is a collection of contributions about change in mountain environments written by Canadian experts, people living in mountain communities, including Indigenous people, scientists, social scientists, and from natural resource managers. We're hoping to raise Canadians' awareness about the urgency of acting to protect our mountain environments, that people will become advocates for mountain conservation and mountain stewardship.
Thank you, Leo. Okay, well, there's 3 prizes that are given away each year. There's the overall winner, the runner-up, and the best new initiative. So to further discuss and define these and talk about what prizes are going next, I would like to invite up Carolina Adler, who will explain the prizes we'll be giving next.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone, also from my side. And my name is Carolina Adler. I'm the president of the Mountain Protection Commission of the UIAA. And on behalf of the Commission, we're very grateful for the support also given to this project through the Bally Peak Outlook Foundation. This particular category is, as was already described, the runner-up, sorry, not the runner-up, this is the Best New Initiative. And the Best New Initiative is a category that recognizes fresh new ideas. So many projects come to us with aspirations to be able to implement particular measures or projects on the ground. And this is about recognizing those ideas and giving them a leg up in terms of a small amount of funding and also platform to engage and exchange also with others who are part of this mountain protection platform to take the projects forward. And I'm very pleased and proud to announce that the winner for this year's Best New Initiative is from the Federation of Indonesian Climate Activity, Save Rinjani, Indonesia. The presentations, in fact, of what these projects are about have already been announced through many of the UIA communication channels. So this is also something that I would invite and encourage you all to have a look and hear more about what this project does. Thank you. And back to Brett.
Okay, we're going to bring up Mary Sanseverino again to present the next award.
So I'll take the next slide, please, Nils. Well, it's my pleasure to to introduce you to the runner-up category. So Carolina just talked about the best new initiative. The runner-up is the second place winner of the Mountain Protection Award. And this year, the very innovative Leave Good Trace for Mountains project from Clean Hikers, a grassroots Korean mountain organization endorsed by Korea Alpine Federation, was a pleasure to assess. It clearly laid out the issue. In this case, they identified people flocking to the mountains. And I think this is, for many of us have seen this, especially during COVID. But many of these people without a mountain protection mindset. So Clean Hikers took this difficult issue and applied a mixture of 3 positive concepts to it: playfulness, education, and art. They targeted at youth and families, and the project joyfully, playfully, and practically guides mountain protection concepts, especially around sustainability, into the mainstream mountain culture in the Republic of Korea. Moreover, as pressure on mountain spaces around the world increases, the ideas behind Leave Good Trace, essentially leaving the mountains a better place than we found it when we went there, are ones that I think should resonate for us all. So congratulations to Clean Hikers.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a moment now and talk about the Bally Peak Outlook Foundation as the Mountain Protection Award partner. This partnership has lasted for 2 fruitful years so far, and with increased visibility and promotion of nominated projects, as well as a bigger prize money for the winners. Unfortunately, no representatives from the Bally Peak Foundation could be present today, so we're going to watch a video, which I think will play now, on the Bally Peak Foundation.
This is our origin. Quiet, subtle, Swiss. We were born in the mountains. We grew up learning their many faces, skiing them, climbing them, hiking them. Since 1851, we perfected products to make their impossible discoveries possible. We used innovation and technology to explore the world. We started with 20th century Swiss expeditions and summited Everest in 1953 with Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary. We have traveled far, from peak to peak, but we're still home. This is our present. Fragile, at risk, polluted.
Piercing the sky at 8,848 meters, Mount Everest holds an important significance beyond the impossible feat of reaching its peak. For us Sherpas, the mountain is sacred. Known as Chomolungma, the mother goddess of the world. Ever since Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary performed the impossible, that same achievement is sought by thousands each year. Unfortunately, with a negative impact on this once pristine landscape. When I stood on Everest for the first time, I said, we have to do something. The glaciers are melting, there's trash everywhere, and our water is polluted. Since then, I've made it my mission to protect my home and my community. In 2019, Bali returned to Everest with an initiative to preserve extreme mountain environments. Supported by Bally Peak Outlook, I led a team of climbers on an expedition dedicated to cleaning the mountain from base camp to the peak, removing 2 tons of waste. In 2020, the Bally Peak Outlook Foundation was established, with the mission to protect the world's mountain environments through critical cleanups, conservation programs, and partnering with organizations to provide funding and support. Transforming a lifelong passion into environmental action. Bally empowers communities like mine to make the mountains and the surrounding habitats cleaner and safer.
This is our future, poised, meaningful, pristine.
The world will not change by a few people doing big things. The world is going to change by all of us taking part. Over the course of 2 years, we pledged to clean up 8 base camps of 8 Himalayan mountains, all over 8,000 meters.
We pledge to support the Himalayan community and honor our ties to the Tenzing Norgay family, guiding and informing us along the way.
And yet, this is only the beginning. 25% of the world's surface area is covered by mountains. We have a responsibility beyond the Himalayas to support cleanups, educational programs, and sustainable exploration.
At Mount Fuji in Japan, our expedition will clean the higher, more remote parts of the iconic pilgrimage site. At Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, with the support of local rangers, we will help raise awareness around key environmental issues that are impacting the region and open new trails to create more sustainable access to the summit around its famous foothills.
More than mere masses, these alpine environments promote biodiversity and culture, generating dynamic life. We belong to these mountains, and we must look after them.
Okay, I'd like to invite Carolina back to the stage, please.
Thank you very much. And that's because we have fantastic news to announce. We've just received information that the Bally Peak Outlook Foundation has in fact confirmed its commitment to continue supporting the Mountain Protection Award for the next 2 years. So this is wonderful news. We're very grateful. We've had a very difficult couple of years with COVID, and maintaining the momentum through a project and the support of the donor has been very important to continue that discussion. So this confirmation is in fact testament to the trust that is bestowed on the UIAA and the Mountain Protection Commission, as well as the external assessors, to continue this work going forward. So we're very grateful. Thank you to Bally. Back to you, Grant.
Okay, well, it's time for the big reveal. This is the big one tonight. I'd like to ask Carolina to come back up and announce the recipient of the big award tonight, please.
Thank you. And it's my pleasure now to make the big announcement of who the winner is for the Mountain Protection Award 2022. And I'm very pleased to mention that that winner is the Asociación Séptima Escalada, who have done a project on self-managed climbing parks in Cusco, Peru. And the title of the project is the establishment of sustainable climbing parks as agents of local development in Pitucamarca, Cusco, Peru. And this is one of the key projects that impressed us very much for going beyond the simple task of establishing a climbing facility in this part of the world, but in fact engaging with the local communities and going beyond the mandate, if you like, for establishing such a project in this area. And to learn more about that, I have the pleasure to also welcome here the representative of the project itself. This is Kim Schwartz. Are you here with us? Yeah, here we are. Please come and join us. So Kim is a project partner and is here on behalf of the project implementers back in Peru. And she'll be showing us and telling us a little bit more about the project in a moment. And we have the we have the trophy, no? We have a trophy and yeah, oh, this is lovely. So please welcome and tell us a little bit about the project itself. Please come and join us here.
Hello. I'm excited to be here with you today on behalf of CTA Escalada to present to you this amazing project. Currently, I live in Boulder, Colorado, but previously I lived in Peru for 5 years, where I had the opportunity and was fortunate enough to visit Pitumarca many times and be involved with this project. Before I tell you about the project, I want to show you a little bit of Pitumarca. Pitumarca is an incredibly easy place to love. In the bottom left-hand corner, you see a picture of the town and then the mountains above. Most people live in the town below, and the climbing area is in the mountains above. To get to the climbing area, it's about a 20-minute drive or an hour's hike, or if you're not used to the altitude, an hour and a half. The picture on the right is Senora Irene, and she's making anticuchos. Anticuchos are basically pieces of meat on a stick, topped with a potato. It sounds simple, but they're incredible, and it's one of my favorite snacks to have after climbing. The anticuchos in Pitumarca are especially delicious because it's with meat of alpaca. And then the top left picture, you see llamas. And this was taken above in the climbing area as one of the members of the local community was moving her herd from one grazing area to another. But it's a very common sight up there. Next slide. Okay, and I want to take a minute to recognize the people behind the project. Photoed are Coco and Deanna. Without them, this project would have never happened. They're the ones who started this project. They're the ones who first recognized the potential Pitumarca had to be a world-class climbing park. And they have seen this project through every stage. Currently, they live in Pitumarca as well. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here with us today, but I'm honored to present the project on their behalf. Okay, so a little bit about the project. In Peru, extractive or poorly managed activities such as mining and tourism are quite common and have resulted in a degradation of the natural ecosystem. This, combined with a lack of government investment in the communities, has caused a decrease in the populations of mountain communities and also a loss of culture. This project has the objective of making mountain sports a dynamic and sustainable economic engine for the people of Pitumarca and their territories. Next slide. Great. So this project started out by simply a desire to climb these incredible walls. Believe me, these pictures don't do it justice. The area there is breathtaking, and I sincerely hope that each of you has the opportunity to visit one day. However, gaining permission to bolt or put up a route isn't a quick and simple process. It's not like you can ask just one person if you can have permission to bolt on their walls. An important part of the area's history is the agrarian reform that happened in the 70s. This was basically a process of land redistribution, where instead of the haciendas owning the land and the community members working for the haciendas, the land was redistributed and ownership changed to now the communities own the land. And the communities are basically like large co-ops. So to get permission to bolt, the whole community has to say okay. So the first stage of the project started out by building a friendship. Before any bolting could begin, a friendship had to be developed. This was also a slow process because of a few things. First, the community's unfamiliarity with mountain sports, and then cultural and linguistic differences. In the mountain areas in Peru, they speak Quechua, and the rest of Peru speaks Spanish. And I promise you, Quechua and Spanish are very different. I speak Spanish, but I cannot understand a word of Quechua. So there were linguistic differences and cultural differences. But however, while this was a slow process, it should be said that the alliance with the community, based on mutual respect, has been one of the most valuable aspects of the project. So the second stage consisted of mostly building the park. The first routes were built, the first climbing festival was held, and an emphasis was placed on equipping routes. In the picture, you see Coco, although you can't see his face. The area saw an increase in visitors of around 100% a year. Currently, there are about 200 routes, and Pitumarca has received visitors from over 25 countries. In stage 3, probably the most important stage of the project, the vision of the project started to transform. The vision really turned towards teaching climbing to the local community. This is for 3 reasons, for the most part. One, it's common knowledge that sports teach valuable social and leadership skills. Second, a local love of climbing is what will make this project sustainable in the long run. And third, in Peru, mountain sports are generally practiced by those who have more social privilege. So by teaching climbing to the local community, we were aiming at more social inclusion. And yeah, it's only fair that these children can climb and enjoy their home territory just in the same way as visitors can. So some significant achievements in stage 3. In 2002, new communities joined the project. And as I explained before, how you have to get the permission from the whole community before you can bolt, this means that the climbing park could expand to new areas. Alliances were also created with Umarumi, Mon Vertical, and FedPay. In the picture, the 2 girls in black jackets, the one on the left is Deanna, and the one on the right is Mara, and she's from Umarumi. Umarumi is a local NGO that has helped a lot with building the infrastructure of the park and working with the children. Mon Vertical is Petzel in Peru, and they've donated equipment and material. And then FedPay is short for the Peruvian Climbing Federation. And they've helped with and supported the training of local youth, and also in hopes to integrate them into national and regional competitions. In 2021, the first camp for children and young people was organized in partnership with Valley Camp, where about 30 children from the area participated. Here they did climbing, but they also did more traditional camp activities such as art and games. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. And in 2022, the first formal training in wilderness first aid was given to locals. These are some of my favorite pictures. Next slide, please. In this past year, the park has also seen many improvements. We've worked hard to convert an old unused building into a refuge. We have improved waste treatment, including installing 9 toilets, and we have worked to develop infrastructure to mitigate the impact of climbers on the area. Such infrastructure like there's now designated spaces for camping, for campfires, and for composting. There are trails and signs marking the access to those trails to get to the walls. And there are informational posters, like the one you see on the right, that state the rules of coexistence with the community and some of the rules of the climbing park, such as all dogs need to be on leashes. In May, this past May, I was there for this. Kuntersayana Park was inaugurated. This park is just one valley over from the original park in Cacohuayasca. It was an incredibly special day. The whole community was really excited to have this new climbing area, and the community cooked a large meal that was shared by everyone. If you click next slide, it should press play on this video. Oh, it didn't go. Can you try to go up and then press play? Will it work? No? I have a video. No, it's not the same. It's okay. It was to show the inauguration of the park. It's different. Okay, and future goals. So future goals are to continue monitoring the park and the impact climbers are having on the area, on the vegetation, and the surrounding environment. Also, to continue training locals in participatory management. The goal of the project is also that the people from Pitumarca are the ones who run the climbing area. And then, of course, continuing to work with the children, because by instilling in them a local love of climbing, that's what will make this project more sustainable and protect the environment in the future.
Thank you, Kim, and congratulations on the receipt of the award. Thank you. We're just going to watch a short video, and I'm going to ask Kim a few questions about the project.
Hola, somos Diana y Coco, fundadores de la Asociación 7A Escalada.
Y quienes empezamos en el año 2015 con el sueño de escalar las majestuosas paredes de Cacohuayasca.
Hoy, 7 años después, y gracias a muchas personas y organizaciones, estamos aquí dando las gracias a la UIAA por este gran premio.
Este proyecto empezó con las simples ganas de escalar, y rápidamente nos dimos cuenta que esto sería mucho más.
A través de la escalada, estamos apostando a crear un puente entre culturas y formas de vida.
La escalada se convirtió en una herramienta para descubrir la naturaleza y las personas que viven en estas montañas.
Una herramienta de inclusión en un país marcado por las diferencias que hoy celebramos y agradecemos.
Durante este tiempo, muchas personas han contribuido para construir los parques de escalada, donde buscamos equipar rutas desafiantes, pero también educar a los escaladores para hacer un uso responsable del espacio.
También buscamos generar fuentes de ingresos económicos para la población local y alternativas para los jóvenes a través del deporte, la relación con sus territorios y el intercambio cultural que permitan los deportes al aire libre.
Para que sean ellos quienes continúen con este proyecto. Nos queda mucho trabajo por hacer. Este reconocimiento nos impulsa y nos motiva a seguir trabajando por nuestras montañas.
Gracias a la UIAA y a Bally Peak Outlook Foundation por este reconocimiento.
Thank you. Kim, can I ask you a couple questions before we let you go?
Yes.
First, we're interested, how much did it pay off for you to integrate the environmental aspects early on in the project?
Yeah, it paid off tremendously, I think. It's always easier to prevent a problem usually than to try to deal with it afterwards. And by focusing on the environment, now the place is organized. There are hiking trails. There are like I said, there are designated places for compost, for trash, for camping. And importantly, I don't know that any of these pictures really made it clear, but the local community lives up top at where the climbing area is. And so we had to be organized with the environmental issues early on in order to maintain a peaceful relationship with the community.
Thank you. Sounds like a great place.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, makes me want to go to Peru. Hey, can you tell us a little bit about how you first heard about the Mountain Protection Award and what made you want to apply and what you think this prize will mean for the future of the project?
Yeah, so actually a friend of Deanna's is the one that really heard about it first. There was a lady helping Deanna monitor the water up top to see if up top meaning in the climbing area, to see if climbers were having an impact on the water quality. And she's the one that knew of this award. And after looking at the award in the description, we thought the project was a perfect fit. And what was the second part? I'm sorry.
What does the prize mean to you, the future of the project?
Yeah, I think the visibility will be really great for the project. And also the money will go to help continue the infrastructure improvement and working with the kids. But also we hope that people come to the park.
And lastly, how can people find out more about the area, your vision and philosophy? Is there some way to get involved or to support the efforts?
Yeah, well, funny you ask, I made a slide. If you're interested in the project, CTA has an Instagram page. There's also a website. And then I put the info at CTA's email address and then my email address if you want to contact me. Also, as far as supporting the efforts, there's many ways to support the efforts. Money is always great. There's a crowdfunding page, but also in kind ways to support the efforts work as well. If you want to go visit the park and work with the children or simply climb and enjoy the area, that's also supporting us.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again, and thank you very much. Best wishes with your project.
Thank you.
Just stairs right there. Yeah, thanks. Okay, well, that brings us pretty much to the close of the awards tonight. I'd like to invite Peter Muir up to make the final closing statements. And I guess I'd like to wish you all a great banquet. I won't be there this evening. It's been nice to meet everyone. I've really enjoyed my day with you today. Thanks very much. Over to Peter.
Thanks, Grant. Well, as I said at the beginning, those projects, constructive, somewhat reassuring, certainly inspiring. My congratulations to all the winners. I want to first thank Carolina Adler, Commission President, and the entire Mountain Protection Commission for heading this initiative. The Bally Peak Outlook Foundation for its continuing support, and it's terrific to hear that that will continue into the future. I want to thank the entire assessment team, but I particularly want to thank Mary Sansorino first. We actually are friends on another function. She's always like that, always. It's fantastic. When we're analyzing candidates for directorships of the Alpine Club of Canada, she's just as fired up as she is about that. It's really fantastic. So you've worked very hard on this, I understand. We appreciate that. And I thank the other members of the assessment team who helped Nate Manager from the office, Bjorn Alftan, Jessica Bicht, Ansgar Fellendorf, Stuart Gray, Anu Kamari Lama, Leif Inga Magnuson, Marta Mills, and Marjorie Van Strijn. If you saw the list of the qualifications of these people, you would be as intimidated by them as I am. So I also want to take this chance, while I have you all here, to thank Grant for his services today. There's another award being given out tonight. Lots of you will be familiar with the Banff Mountain Film Festival, probably because you may have had a chance to go to Banff. It does a world tour, and maybe you've seen the films and enjoyed those. But the Banff Film and Book Festival kicks off tonight, and they start with the award of the Summit of Excellence Award. And for Canadian mountaineers, this is a significance award. This is a who's who of people who have given extraordinary service and development in mountaineering, ranging from people like Craig Richards, photographer, or I think Barry Blanchard, mountain guide. The list is truly incredible. And this evening, I'm pleased to say that our friend Grant will be added to the list. And unfortunately, the sad part of the whole thing is that your next evening up on Abbott Pass is going to be a little bit colder. So we at the UIAA have a solution for that. That's it.